Welcome everybody to today's movie review. Today we are going to be reviewing Ford versus Ferrari. Now to start this review off, I think I should mention that I am somebody who doesn't really like true story movies. In fact, I kind of dislike them. Whenever I watch a movie, I want to be entertained, and a lot of the true events that have happened throughout history just don't really stand up to Star Wars, Star Trek, or superhero movies. I mean, if you asked me if I wanted to watch a superhero movie like Endgame or maybe a horror movie like Alien, or if I would rather watch a true story movie like Ford versus Ferrari, probably 68 out of 69 times I would be choosing the Marvel superhero movie or horror action sci-fi movie. I also don't like watching true story movies because, I already graduated from high school. I did my time. I had to go to history class every day for years. I don't want to watch a 2.5 hour history lesson. I want to watch a movie that's fun and entertaining or something that's a masterpiece or something like that, something that's going to blow me away. I don't want to learn anything when I'm watching movies for the most part. But when it comes to Ford versus Ferrari, not only did I learn a little bit of history, but I actually enjoyed it, and I was pretty much blown away by how good of a movie that this actually turned out to be. I had a feeling that this was going to be a good movie, but my expectations were definitely exceeded when I actually watched it. There are so few negatives of this movie, so let's just go over the positives for right now, and then we'll get to the very few negatives that I have of this film later. So definitely the biggest positive in my opinion is the acting. Christian Bale in my opinion is one of the best actors in the world, and Matt Damon also did a very, very good job in this movie. They had great chemistry together and they really played their characters very well. The characters were also well developed, and the main antagonist guy that was like the second in command of Henry Ford II, he was really annoying, and especially towards the end of the movie, I really disliked him quite a bit. So they did a good job making characters that I really liked, characters that I loved, and as well as having characters that I hated. And when I say characters that I hated, I mean that in the sense that I was supposed to hate that character, not because I thought that the character was poorly written. The storyline to this movie was also really good, but that isn't really something that they can change too much since it's a true story and it's actually a historical event. The storyline is basically written for them, but the parts that they chose to show of the storyline I thought were well chosen parts, and for the most part there wasn't really that much of the movie that was unnecessary to be in it, or there weren't really that many parts that needed to be cut out. That being said, one of the few negatives that I had over this movie was that there were a couple parts that I thought should have been cut out, that weren't really that necessary. I mean, it's a 2 hour and 32-minute movie. It's a pretty long movie. But going back to the positives, another thing that I liked about this movie was the cinematography, the angles that all the shots were taken at. Another thing about this movie is that it was kind of an emotional roller coaster. There were definitely times when I was on the edge of my seat. There were times when I was angry, especially towards the end of the movie. And there were also times when I was really cheering for Christian Bale's character, Ken Miles. This movie definitely got me engaged, and I'm saying that as somebody who doesn't care at all about racing or NASCAR or any of that. I think that that's boring. No offense to anybody who does, but it's just not my cup of tea. I don't care at all about it. But this movie actually made me care about it. Now let's get into the one spoiler that I have for this movie. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want it to be spoiled, then click off of this video. But something about this movie that it really made me pretty angry when it happened was when Ken Miles decided to obey the command that he was given and hang back and wait for the other two Ford racers so that they could all cross the finish line together. I thought that that seemed really out of character for him, and it really made me pretty angry that he did that. And then when he ended up losing the race and knowing that he would have won if he had not followed that order, it really just made it even more infuriating when that happened. And while I was feeling anger towards that scene, it really made me kind of like not like the writing of this movie, but then I realized again that it was based on true events. So I wonder if that actually did happen, like if that was the reason why he stayed back and got second place in that race. because I looked it up afterwards and it's true that Ken Miles did get second place, but I didn't look that deep into it as to see why. But if he really did get second place because he was told to hang back so that all three of the Ford cars could cross the finish line at the same time, and he would have won, then that really is infuriating, and I'm glad that they made a movie about it to give this guy some credit. But overall, that scene, it just kind of didn't really make sense to me because his character has always been somebody who does his own thing. He's got anger issues, kind of. He doesn't get along with other people. He's difficult to work with. So I don't get why he would follow orders when he's about to win like the biggest race in the world. I don't understand why he would do that. But since this movie is based on a true story, I'm just going to assume that that's what actually happened. And if it is, then I mean, like, yeah, it definitely succeeded in getting me angry at that moment. But yeah, overall, I thought that this movie was really, really good. It was near a masterpiece in my opinion. The acting was probably the best part of it. The chemistry between the two main characters, Matt Damon and Patrick Bateman, it was really good. And I was definitely surprised at the movie that I ended up watching. Most of the time I watch superhero movies and other action movies like James Bond or horror movies maybe and stuff like that as I mentioned. But watching this movie, it was more of a drama and it was really entertaining. I thought everybody working on it did a really good job. It was obviously a very high quality and it looked like a pretty high budget movie as well. Overall, on the movie review scale, I'm going to give this movie an A minus. That is an extremely high grade on the movie review scale, so good job to everybody who was on this movie. And actually, now that I think of it, I don't think any movie on the movie review scale has gotten an A minus as of yet. That being said, I haven't done that many movie reviews. This is like the seventh one that I've done, but it's the highest one so far, so congrats to them. So yeah, it gets an A minus, extremely high grade on the movie review scale. There were a few parts that were kind of long and maybe a little bit stretched out, but the pacing overall was really good. Everything about this movie was just really good. I don't really know. I mean, there aren't really that many things that I would change about it, so those are my thoughts on this movie. Thank you everybody for watching. Comment down below what you thought of this movie, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.